and welcome to XCOM 2 Overwatch. Joining me in this episode is my good friend Mike. Say hello, Mike.
Hey guys, it's good to be back.
And some of you may remember Mike from some of the content he's joined in on my channel, such as most recently Castle Crashers with Jason and Austin and Mike as well. My co-commentator from Darkest Dungeon, as well as FTL Advanced Edition and Pokemon My Ass, along with Jason for both of those.
And yes, my shirt is off just like in my ass.
That can be misconstrued in so many ways.
I know what I said.
And if you were part of the channel very early on, you will also remember that Mike was the squad leader for Bravo Squad.
Man, Bravo Squad. Good, we're bringing it back. Richter's excited, I know that. Got a few ideas of how I want to take it. I'll bring them up when we get to customization and stuff.
And that's precisely why I wanted to bring you on for this episode, Mike. Thank you to anybody who has watched the last episode with Corey about the design aspects of, the enemies, the base, the weapons, the UI, everything design based of the last episode. If you managed to watch through all of that, you are indeed a trooper, and I salute you. And, and on to the surprise. You are probably wondering, why am I uploading today? It's a Wednesday. Is it madness? No, you're quite sane, and it's just me going a little insane on my end. See, what's basically going on is I decided to do Wednesday uploads now. So basically, I will be uploading 5 videos per week, Monday through Friday, mainly on the fact that I have a very huge backlog of videos that I need to get through. And for the foreseeable future, I will be extremely busy in terms of recording things. So I see this as a way of keeping up with that backlog. As of this recording, I have about 40 plus videos that I need to finish editing and rendering.
All right.
I got my work cut out for me, but hopefully with the 5 days, 5 videos per week, I should be able to keep up with it. Anyway, moving on with the rest of the video. The video will probably be very lengthy, as we do have a couple of topics we want to cover, and 2 of those topics are quite big, if I do say so myself. So the topics in question is we will be talking a little bit more on the Geoscape, less on the design aspect, but more on the mechanics side of it. A little more info on the base that I've been able to dig up in the time between this episode and the last episode. We're going to be talking about the currently 5 soldier classes that are available to XCOM 2, as well as a breakdown of all the skills available to those 5 classes. We will also talk about the loadouts and their equipment, as well as the customization for both soldiers and staff that you can recruit throughout XCOM 2. So without further ado, let's get in.
Let's get into it.
So let's start out with the Geoscape. So Mike, when you see this Geoscape, what comes to your mind first?
What comes to mind right off the bat is they're throwing a lot of information at you. From what we could tell, this is maybe a couple months after the start of the game?
Yes, this is roughly 2 months in, if I'm correct in assuming it starts on March.
2 months in game time. It looks like May down there.
Yeah. So we're basically seeing XCOM in the process of expanding its influence across the world.
They're starting off in Africa and they're branching out. We got Brazil down there. I'm pointing. Brazil off to the left there. India, West Asia, Western Europe. Also, it looks like there's a black market. I guess the gray market finally got some color. or lack of.
I believe
black is a shade. It's
actually very confusing because they still refer to it as the gray market, but we call it the black market on the Geoscape. It's very strange.
I don't know. I wasn't at the meeting for that.
Yes, but like you said, it is a lot of information being thrown at you compared to the Geoscape from the first game. But to be fair, in the first game, we were just responding to threats around the world. We were established. We had the support of the Council of Nations. Now we're basically building from the ground up. We're grassroots. We gotta build up this resistance and spread our influence. Make contact.
We're definitely the initiators in this game, whereas, like you said, the first game, we were just sitting down and waiting for something to happen, and we go rush off to deal with it. Here we're poking the hornet's nest.
Yep. And
a big stick.
And this is the thing, because we're a mobile base, we have to travel around the world to these regions. It's not just send out a team in the Sky Ranger like the old days. So if we want to get something done, we have if we want to have something done, we have to go out there. So in this case, for example, let's say we wanted to go to this relay here that's being built. We would have to take the Avenger, which you see at the top near the Project Avatar progress bar, and fly over to the radio relay. That in itself will take some time to get to before you scan for the 4 days to build up the relay itself. Now, you don't think of that as a good as a big thing, but when you think about it, you are flying all around. All of that fly time is going to add up. So you got to plan out your routes, make effective use of all of your time flying around. So you can't, it's not a good idea to be flying somewhere from someone like Japan all the way over to Brazil just to do one thing.
Yeah, you definitely have to like make a path. So if you're gonna go here, do this, then you can fly there, eventually getting to Brazil.
Yeah, and
to make better use of your time and resources.
Yeah, and that by itself gives you a little bit on the choice. It's like, what do you want to do the most? Do you want to go get supplies? Do you want to go make contact with another region? Or do you want to spend time at the HQ and gather intel? But while you're doing all of that, the enemy is not just going to be sitting there twiddling their thumbs. Advent and the aliens have their own agenda. One of those agendas is Project Avatar, which we'll get into a little bit later. But basically, Project Avatar is one of the aliens' win condition. I say one because they have several ways of defeating you. So
yeah, they're definitely going to be fighting back.
Mm-hmm. So moving away from the Geoscape map here, let's move on to this.
This is, we were talking about this a little earlier when we were prepping for this, replacing the satellites.
Yes, so unlike the first game where we had the satellite system, pretty straightforward. You just built a bunch of satellite uplinks or satellite nexi, and you launched a couple of satellites into space to cover the council nation that wants it, or just covering it to keep things under control. Don't let people panic. We don't have a satellite mechanic, not so much anyway, because obviously Advent and the aliens control the air now. We have no interceptors. The only air thing we really have is the Avenger base and the Sky Ranger. And so, I mean, I'm pretty sure the aliens would notice a satellite being launched up. Chances are that satellite's probably going to get shot down within a couple of minutes. It's not even going to
last, not even like 2 minutes.
Yeah, even if you had cloaked satellites, wouldn't matter.
They'll know.
Yep.
They know.
So basically, we have resistance communication relays as our new satellite mechanic. We build up these relays so that we can make contact with other regions. And since we are on a smaller scale compared to the first game, we can't just build a relay off in the US when we're off in Asia. We have to be connected to certain regions in order to cross over to another region.
Yeah, we'll, I guess we'll show that later when we get a view of the map.
Yeah, but basically...
But it's a logistics thing.
Yeah, it's logistics.
You actually have to be there to actually do the thing.
Yeah, and then when you're making contact with another country, we'll get into in the next slide right here actually. When you're making contact with a new region, you have to spend intel, and like I said, you can't just go from one region to any region you decide. You have to kind of spider web and get to the region you're going for. So in this case, in order to get to Brazil, we had to have access to West Africa, which we did, which is denoted by this line pointing to Brazil now.
The little blue line.
Mm-hmm. And in order to make contact, we obviously need intel, which is one of the new resources of XCOM 2. And the further away you get from XCOM's headquarter region, the more intel it's going to cost to make contact with a new region. But with the help of the resistance relays, that'll lower the cost just slightly. So once again, it goes up with the whole, do you want to spend time building a relay when you could be doing something else like gathering supplies and resources, or making contact with another region but at a higher intel cost? But at the same time, saving intel can be a very valuable thing. But we'll get a little bit more into that just a bit.
Oh yeah.
Now, we all know that the ultimate goal is to become widespread, become a global force again. We need to make contact with all the resistance cells around the world. And each region has their own little bonus, as well as contributing supplies at the beginning of each month. And, you know, it'll offer new missions in that region. And of course, it will take time to fly over there. As we can see from here, the Avenger was originally somewhere near Europe, now is making the trip all the way to Brazil. That's quite the trip, so that's a lot of time invested to make contact with the new region.
Especially if you got stuff going on over in Europe and Africa that you could be doing at the same time.
Yeah, once again, it comes down to whole choice of priorities. What do you value the most? Do you want supplies? Do you want to go after staff? Do you want to go after the enemies and stop them at every turn? It depends on you. Or you could choose the lazy route and do nothing. But I'm pretty sure the aliens will just steamroll you if you do that.
Yeah, they definitely seem to be a more formidable force in this game.
And I mentioned monthly bonuses and rewards. Basically, at the beginning of each month, the regions will, of course, contribute supplies to you, but you have to go pick it up. Same goes for staff rewards at the beginning of the month. So you have to usually fly back to your headquarter region in order to pick up these recruits. And I chose this particular image because there's a certain figure in the foreground that seems very, very familiar now, doesn't it?
God.
I'm pretty sure anyone who's watched XCOM Enemy Within or just has a basic idea of XCOM itself knows who I'm talking about.
There's a lot of people face palming right now.
Yep.
I'd do it myself, but my mic would pick it up.
Yep. Everybody who was part of Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie Squad would probably know that from my series. But I'm gonna leave it.
We all made fun of you for it. Come on.
Yeah, you all made fun of me for it. But for those of you who don't know, I'll let you find that out on your own if you want to go check out that playlist. But
be warned.
Yep. But we're getting into the it was not creepy. But we're gonna get a little bit into the recruiting mechanic now. So here we have the monthly rewards, which I believe you have to fly back to your headquarter region in order to receive them. So you can make purchases and recruit scientists and engineers, as well as getting a scanning bonus, which I'll get into a little bit. But here you can see that we can purchase an engineer or a scientist for a certain amount of supplies. In this case, we can purchase Dr. James Brown, an engineer, for 175 supplies, which is pretty steep in cost, but we get them instantly and we have control over it. Whereas in the past in XCOM, we kind of just had to rely on missions to get what we needed. Engineers and scientists are no longer just a number. They're not a resource. They're actual staff members that you can use to help you in reducing time in constructing your base or research. And it's very, very advantageous to have as many as you can. But like I said, they aren't just a resource now. They actually have a use.
And it's good because now, like you said, the only way to get engineers was from monthly rewards and doing missions. So now you might not find yourself prioritizing certain missions for, say, engineers over others, which back in the first game you might have led to some people neglecting other countries if they didn't have the right rewards they were looking for. So it's good to open up a couple of options. I'm assuming they will still be like rewards like scientists and engineers based on what missions you choose.
Yeah, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. While we're on the subject, there is also scanning bonuses. So basically, each month, we are allowed to have one bonus at a single time, and I believe you can only change it once per month. But basically, when you go back to your headquarters region, you can select a bonus so that when you do scanning for intel at your region, you aren't just gaining just intel, you also get a little bonus. In this case, we have two bonuses shown here: medical assistance and rapid constructions. Those two by itself should be pretty self-explanatory, but I'll go ahead and explain what they are. So medical assistance is the staff members of the regions will help you heal up your injured soldiers if you are scanning within that region. So if you're outside of the region, the bonus doesn't apply because you're not in the headquarter region. But if you're back there scanning for intel, then your healing rate will be slightly faster with the help of your region's staff helping out. Same goes for rapid construction, but in this case, for the construction of your facilities on the Avenger base. So it's very, very interesting how that will play out, because it could be completely random for all I know, and I'm pretty sure it is random. So you could get a whole different scanning bonus, like something that helps your soldiers train faster or gain more experience or something of the sort. And it opens the road for a lot of replayability in the future, of course. So moving on, we have soldier recruitings. Now this is a little important to me on the point of Let's Plays, because anybody who's watched my XCOM Enemy Within playthrough knows that I like to include my friends and the subscribers in the XCOM squads. And one thing that always annoyed me while I was doing my Let's Play of XCOM Enemy Within was trying to customize someone who I didn't know who was coming in. For example, let's say Mike wants to join the XCOM squads, right? Back in XCOM Enemy Within, I would just have to press recruit a soldier and hope that they were a male instead of a female. In this, at least, in XCOM 2 now, you have a list that you can review them. You can see what they look like, their low biography, etc. But you can view what they are ahead of time, so you can recruit and know what you are getting, which is very helpful on the customization standpoint for, role-playing Let's Plays like mine, where I want to include the viewers. So some people will give their, I would like this hairstyle, or I would prefer this class if possible. So I want to be able to facilitate those requests as accurately as possible.
You also, like you were saying, hoping if when I was joining recruit a guy, hoping it would be a dude. Back in the first one, it costs money to bring in new soldiers, whereas if all of them turned out to be female, you just wasted
that's a waste of
$300 on soldiers that you can't essentially turn into me. Not as big on immersion in that aspect, but sometimes immersion has to take a back seat for
accuracy's sake.
For accuracies and facilitating your
viewer requests.
Viewer requests, role playing, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that on its point is very nice that we can preview it, although it is kind of mute, because we can also, once again, on the immersion breaking side, we could, let's say we just did a mission and all 4 rookies were promoted, and I had a viewer who wanted to be the sniper, but the sniper happens to be a female when I know the viewer was a male. So there is an option in customization that you can change it from a female to male, but that seems very strange when you think about it. But I could just retcon the story and just say, well, I decided to send this team out for recon duty at headquarters region, but they did train everybody else on the roster that perspective role, when I've actually just switched them around a little bit. Bit immersion breaking, but it helps once again to facilitate viewer requests, and that's what I really like about the recruiting system now. Has a lot more control to it, and I like that. So we were talking about this a little bit earlier when you were mentioning, getting engineers and having a preference of resources when you were doing missions. Here we have the Guerrilla Ops. It's kind of similar to the abductions and UFO sites back from XCOM Enemy Unknown and Enemy Within. You still have to choose between target sites. They have different rewards, of course, but because of how it's set up now, it also includes countering dark events. So when you do a particular mission in one region, it could have a completely different dark event from the other one. So you're not just choosing just for resource now, you're also choosing what to counter the enemy with, as well as the region you're helping out.
I'm noticing Operation Dying Wolf. I hope the stupid names are back for all your missions.
They are. I'm pretty sure you remember every time I got a mission, I would criticize the name in some way.
It's like, what was Bradford doing when he was writing these?
I don't even think it was Bradford. I think it was just some technician who we decided to randomly put in charge. It's like, come up with an operation name.
Yeah, just a random word generator, just putting any 2 words together.
Exactly.
Or rolling with it.
I just imagine there's a tech sitting in a room with a bunch of posters, and he's just looking at posters, gets his inspirations from those things.
There's like a bunch of post-it notes on a wall, and he was just throwing darts.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever stuck you with.
Bleeding elephant. Yes, Operation Bleeding Elephant. But
some of them were cool.
Yeah.
If you got lucky.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
The operation names are back, of course. There will probably be some missions, story-related ones, that will be much more rigid, but XCOM 2 is much more story-driven now compared to XCOM, its predecessor anyway. But yeah, Guerrilla Ops as well as many other mission types are available. I'll get more into mission types in the next episode because that will be where I'll be focusing more on the combat mechanics of the game.
Okay.
So, like I mentioned that there were dark events that we are counting. Dark events is a new mechanic where, put simply, you're basically choosing which foot is best to shoot.
That's the nicest way to put it.
Yeah, it's the nicest way you can put it. So, basically, it shows that the aliens are working on Project Avatar, which is one of their win conditions. And if the progress bar is filled up for that, they automatically win, hands down. They've completed their project. I mean, that's not the only way they can win, of course. They can, of course, take over your base, because there is base defense, probably multiple times, maybe because you are a UFO and they are trying to hunt you down. And the reason why I bring up base defense is because of one of the events shown here in the dark events. So it does show new alien facility constructions. These are referring to black site facilities that you can destroy in order to set back Project Avatar. It also shows you retaliation time, when the aliens are going to retaliate against your forces for kicking the beehive around for all intents and purposes here.
Yeah, we're going to kick it hard.
Some of these events are basically, they provide the aliens with benefits. Like I said earlier, the aliens aren't just going to sit around and do their thing. They are actually actively taking part to try and stop you and kill you off. In this case, we have 3 events here. The first one being Hunt XCOM, which is pretty self-explanatory. A UFO is hunting down the Avenger. So basically that entails there's a UFO hunting the Avenger, and simple as that. This would probably lead to base defense more often than not. So be prepared for that. The second event is Advent Alloy Padding. Not as dangerous as a UFO hunting down the Avenger, I would assume, but it makes it so that Advent invests in improving their battle gear, adding armor to some of their soldiers in the field. So basically, their Advent forces are now deploying with better equipment. So it's a choice between, do I want a UFO hunting the Avenger and possibly killing us all, or do I want to make it tougher on our soldiers by going up against troopers that are wearing better gear?
And possibly killing them all.
Yeah, that's always the option. And of course, there's a hidden event. There will always be a hidden event, and you can reveal this hidden event for 25 intel. Remember earlier when I said it's probably best to save intel just in case? This is pretty much why I would said that. You never know what the hidden event is, but you can for a price, and that is with intel. So you can figure out what the third event is if you want. Sometimes it's better knowing, because you have no idea what they are doing. And
sounds scary.
And these dark events aren't limited to just these 3. There's probably a huge variety, but I do have a few more images of some of the dark events that we will be going up against. But like I said, it's basically you're shooting one of your foot, but you get to choose.
Choosing which limb you want to live without.
Yeah, that too. There's actually a 4th option when it comes to dark events. You can choose the lazy option. You do not respond to anything. And frankly, if you do that, well, I have to salute you. You have balls.
Good luck to anyone who takes that option. You're gonna need it.
Especially on Legend and Iron Man mode. So here are some of the other dark events that are available that I managed to find. So once again, you got facility construction, and in this case it's showing imminent, it's being constructed. Retaliation is in 1 week, but that's not really important. What we want to focus on here is some of the other dark events available. So here we see Viper rounds. So Advent is now incorporating Viper poison into their weaponry, giving Advent soldiers poisonous rounds for a month. That's a key word there. They get the buff for a month.
Oh boy.
Yep. And the other event here is Rapid Response. Aliens improve their threat response procedures, guaranteeing reinforcements on all Guerrilla Ops for a month. And we all know that they do control the air, so they will always get reinforcements, but in this case they are saying they will get it, and there is no way to stop them from that.
It's pretty much a guarantee instead of, oh, will they, won't they?
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's happening.
And of course, there's always the third hidden event, but in this case, I do have the image that shows what the third event is in this roundup of this fun bag of dark events, and that is the Avatar Project Major Breakthrough event.
So, I know which one I'm picking.
So alien scientist makes a huge amount of progress on the Avatar Project, instantly adding 2 more blocks to the progress meter. Once again, if they finish that meter, they win the game. So the question is, would you rather deal with the Avatar Project being on the verge of being finished, or do you want to deal with guaranteed reinforcements that also have Viper rounds for a month? It could be a very deadly mix.
That goes back to the thing of you want to reveal what that third option is, because it might be this.
Yeah, I mean, there's no guarantee it's going to show up all the time, but it's better to know.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why I always recommend probably stay close to your headquarter region so you can always get the maximum amount of intel when possible. So moving away from dark events, let's talk a little bit about the base facilities. We talked a little bit about the base facilities with Corey in the designing episode, but now we're going to talk a little bit more on the build mechanics of it, as well as a few facilities and some of their uses. So for looking at this, what does it remind you of?
One of those just anthill builder type games, Fallout Shelter.
Yep.
Things like that.
It's very Fallout Shelter-esque here. It's as I've pointed out before in the last episode, we have limited build slots now. We are restricted to 12 build slots compared to last time, obviously because we're on a mobile air base, so we don't have much room to work with as it is. We're not underground anymore.
No, we're in the air.
Yep. But it's almost, like I said, Fallout Shelter. You can assign staff members to various facilities around headquarters to gain a improvement in the base. Like if you assign someone to the power relay, they'll give the power relay a little slight boost so that it pumps out a little more power. There's not a workshop here, but if you had a workshop in the facility slots here, if you staff it with an engineer, it will produce 2 workshop gremlins, which will go out to adjacent facilities and aid them there so they can be staffed there instead of an engineer. So, for example, let's say instead of a guerrilla tactics school in the middle at the top row there, let's say we had a workshop there, right?
Right.
If we staffed it with an engineer, he produces the 2 gremlins. Then he could send those 2 gremlins off to like a facility off to the left, the right, or the bottom. It has to be adjacent. And speaking of adjacency, we don't really have much of an adjacency bonus anymore. The mechanic is still there, but it's not as restrictive as in the first game, like with your satellite uplinks and nexuses where you had to have them all next together to gain extra satellites and whatnot. So there's a little more flexibility on that because we have limited space to build in now.
So the bonus is from the staff member, not the rooms being next to each other.
Yes, it's from the staff member and whatever your staff or the gremlins that you do have on hand. You can also upgrade your room's efficiency and output as well. Kind of like Fallout Shelter, you can upgrade the room. I'm not sure how many levels you can go up to. Probably 3. That always seems to be a magical number for these kinds of games. You can upgrade these rooms so that they perform better, and it saves on the slots, so you don't have to build 4 power relays. You can upgrade a power relay a couple of times.
All about that saving space.
Mm-hmm. And something you've probably noticed here is that when you look at some of these rooms, they are filled with a bunch of debris and exposed power coils, alien machinery. These will initially fill out most of the facility slots you can build in, and you have to use someone to dig it out, or dig it out on your own without a staff member helping. Obviously, if you task a staff member to help with the digging process, it'll take a lot less time, but by digging out these debris and alien machinery, you do regain supplies and alloys and whatnot back from the ship. I kind of like to equate it to this war of mine, my playthrough of this war of mine. If you remember, there were some piles of dirt in the house, and sometimes you had to dig it out in order to access another part of the house, which probably had a safe on the other side that had supplies in it that we could use. The same is pretty much applied here. You're not just digging it out for space like back in XCOM, you're digging it back and you're also getting a little extra for it. Alright, well, moving on. Let's move on to one of the meaty part of the episodes. Now, this episode of XCOM Overwatch is going to be pretty long, much like the last one, because the classes of soldiers that are available, as well as the skill breakdown and the customization, is going to dominate most of the video. So you've been warned. So we have 5 new classes that we know of for now, and those classes comprised are the Grenadier.
It's what used to be the heavy from the first game.
Still carrying around the machine gun and instead of a rocket launcher, we have a grenade launcher now, which is actually nice. It does have a different bonus than the rocket launcher, but I'll get into that in a little bit. We also have the sharpshooters, basically like the snipers, but slightly different.
Tell right off the bat they're different because they have squad sight as their first level ability, so everyone's going to get that.
That's right. Unlike back in the first XCOM, squad sight was one archetype and the other archetype was snapshot, which is you could move but you would take and shoot, but you would take an aim penalty. But in this case, all of the snipers come with squad sight. But we'll get into the archetypes in just a little bit. The next class that we have available, of course, is the specialist, equipped with their gremlins.
Yeah, this was apparently an overhaul of the medic class, because now the gremlin can heal, but you also have the hacking tree.
The whole support tree was completely revamped for the specialist, and it's a very interesting one. And of course, we have the Rangers, which is basically a much more fleshed out assault from the original game.
Oh yeah, they're putting definitely some emphasis on melee combat now.
Yeah, when I first heard about the melee mechanics of the game, I was a little surprised at how they would do it, because before all we really had for melee was the mech trooper punching mechanic, as well as the chrysalids and the berserker. That was pretty much it for melee. But now I'm very, very impressed with how they handled the melee system, and I can't wait to see more of it.
Oh yeah.
But we'll talk more about that in the skill breakdown in just a moment. And of course, the latest class to be revealed is the Psi Operative.
Oh yeah.
Now, I've had my suspicions for months when they showed us that there was a 5th class, and the fact that they never mentioned Psi at all aside from the enemies had me wondering if they were going to make a Psi-based class only. Because before, Psi used to be just a add-on to your soldiers. If they qualified for psionic training, then they were a psionic. But now they are their own class. You just have to invest a lot of resources in order to train a Psi Operative. And they have a lot of skills compared to XCOM Enemy Within and Unknown. And we also know that there is a 6th class coming to XCOM 2.
Yeah, me and you being big fans of the games, we have already gotten the season pass ahead of time, which came in with 3 DLCs, 1 in spring and 2 coming in summer, probably like maybe early mid, and more than likely 1 at the end. The one being at the end was probably going to be Shen's gift.
Yep.
Now we have our speculations. We know there's an exo suit, nothing like full on like mechanical power armor type from the Enemy Within. So we're right now we're just assuming that the 6th class is going to be the mech trooper, and I cannot wait for it to come back, because if anyone's seen the first playthrough, I was the first mech trooper. I became Mecha, Bro-sided, and it was awesome.
That's true. Mike was our first mech trooper in the XCOM Enemy Within playthrough. And rest in peace, Dr. Raymond Shen. You gave us one last gift.
You will be missed.
However, this
great man.
The suspicious, mysterious 6th class, I really think it is something mech related, because I mean, we still do have mech, but there was never any mention of mech troopers, so I'm thinking it has to be something mechanical related at the very least. But we won't know about it until summer of 2016, so That's
The
unfortunate.
fact that it's Shen's last gift, and he is like what, a mechanical engineer.
Yeah, he's a mechanical genius.
It makes sense. We're just following the breadcrumbs here, folks.
It does. And the EXO suit, I believe, was produced by his daughter Lily Shen. It does point to, of course, she did get all of her experience from learning by tinkering with mechanical stuff and working with her father. So only leads us to more than assume that it must be mech related at the very least. But
Still can't wait.
like we said, though, it is going to be DLC, and I will actually be covering DLC a little bit more in a future episode. But like it was said, not everybody was really on board with the whole DLC season pass thing. On the other hand, I feel like it's alright. I'm willing to bite the bullet because I really do enjoy XCOM and the game so far, so I'm willing to put my faith into them and hope for the best. And maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. As of now, that is currently the 6 classes that are known so far. Well, 5 that are known and 1 unknown, but suspected to be Mech Trooper. Anyway.
God, I hope so. Don't let me down. Come on, guys. Jake Solomon. They were a big hit. You'd be stupid to not include them.
Alright. So let's move on to the GTS here. Before we get into the skill breakdown, I wanted to talk a little bit about the GTS. Me and my friend Corey, we talked a little bit about this in the design aspect. But let's talk about these in more mechanic-wise. So Vulture, for example. Enemies are going to be dropping an additional item with every loot drop. And, loot is a thing now. We can collect attachments and data pads off of the enemy in the field. Having a chance to get more of that out in the field, well, then that's going to be a great thing because you get to start stockpiling that. Myself, I would probably bite the bullet and take the supply hit of 75 very early on just so I can start stockpiling attachments for my soldiers because they are single use. Once you replace them, you lose the first one. Obviously, squad size 1, I mean, that should be self-explanatory. Anybody who's played XCOM knows the all-important squad sizes, and that comes in 1 and 2. But, of course, many of these are rank locked, so you have to be a certain rank in order to unlock them, similar to the officer training school. Lightning Strike, I believe it gives plus free mobility to any soldier that is in the concealment phase. So you'll be able to plan out your moves faster, move faster on missions where you have limited time. It's very useful for getting possession, that's for sure. Wet Work, if it's similar to what it was before, it'll probably be more experience gained for your soldiers. Vengeance, this is a new one. Basically, when a soldier is either critically wounded or killed, the rest of your squad will have a random chance to receive a positive bonus to, enact their vengeance. Integrated Warfare, I believe that has to do with PCS, Personal Combat Sims. That is something you can research later. It's similar along the lines of picking up attachments for weapons, but basically they are microchips to give you a minor little boost in a stat, like being a little faster or being able to aim a little more, have a higher will score, etc. Squad size 2, we've talked about that a little bit. Stay With Me, that should also be self-explanatory and was also in the first XCOM. Obviously, I believe you unlock this at the major rank, but basically, instead of a soldier just outright dying, they are more likely to just enter a bleed out state, giving you the chance to go over there and help them before they die. And now we have the 4 specifics for the 4 normal classes aside from Psi Operatives. I don't know if they'll give a GTS upgrade for a Psi Op, but Grenadiers have the biggest booms. That should be pretty self-explanatory. Their explosive damage will be enhanced. Hunter's Instinct, they will be able to move faster, hunt down their targets. Sharpshooters, the dead shot will be giving a bonus to our sharpshooters for aim and critical, I believe. And Specialist Cool Under Pressure, I'm not quite sure what that was. I believe it had something to do with reaction shots like Overwatch. So basically giving them a better chance at aim penalties and whatnot. But that's pretty much the GTS in a nutshell.
like the balance between like returning perks and some of the new ones.
Exactly. The GTS doesn't exactly just upgrade things. You can also take the time to, one at a time, staff a rookie in and train them up in a class you want them to be. As it is now, Rangers, Specialists, Sharpshooters, and Grenadiers. You can choose one of the 4. It'll take roughly 10 days to train one up. Once they finish their training, they will be a squatty in that class you chose, so it does give you a little bit of control over what you want them to be.
And it goes back to what we're saying about recruiting. Not only did you have to hope for the right gender, but when they go out on a mission, you have to hope they come back in the class you want.
Exactly. Moving away from the GTS, we have the Advanced Warfare Center. We talked about this a little bit in the last episode as well, but I wanted to bring this in because it does relate to the skill trees that some of our soldiers will be seeing. Basically, I found out and managed to confirm that if you have the Advanced Warfare Center built and made, now whenever your soldiers get promoted, they will have a chance to gain a skill from another class. So you could have a ranger learning a skill that comes from the specialist class when they get promoted. It's all up to chance, and it really opens up the fun bag for random fun synergies that could happen, or possibly get skills that don't even work together. But, getting a extra skill is always a helpful thing. Some of the skills I've looked through the skill trees could definitely synergize better in some other classes.
Could you imagine a Grenadier with squad sight?
Oh, a Grenadier with squad sight would just start wrecking things. Although I believe the squad sight aim penalty, in addition to the minigun aim penalty by itself, would start to make that a little less viable, though.
Well, you got to boost its aiming abilities.
So that's the AWC.
Scope and a better cannon.
Yeah, so that's the AWC in a nutshell in regards to the skills here. Let's start moving into the meat of the episode, shall we?
Oh, yes.
Now, let's start off with the Grenadier. So, the Grenadiers come with the ability at the squatty rank will have the ability to launch their grenade from a grenade launcher. Pretty basic, right?
Yep.
Well, what people tend to forget is because it's a grenade launcher, that will allow them to launch their grenades at a greater range with a bigger blast radius, and that also includes non-offensive grades like smoke grenades. Grenadiers will generally come equipped with a minigun and a grenade launcher, as I said, and they excel at controlling crowds of enemies and breaking enemy armor, and they can use the grenades multiple times when upgraded properly. So let's start off by working down the demolitions expert side with the tree here. Let's start off with the blast padding, shall we?
All right.
So blast padding is basically, it gives the Grenadier a point of armor and a 66% less damage from explosive. This is very interesting because it does give them armor, and as we know, armor is great for damage reduction when going up against the enemy. But it also gives the great bonus of being 66% more resistance to explosives. So worst case scenario, you have to throw a grenade at your own Grenadier. They're gonna be fine compared to if they didn't have it.
Sometimes you gotta take a hit for the team, man.
Mm-hmm. And the armor, like I said, always interesting to have that, but I'm pretty sure there are other ways to gain armor, of course. So probably not my best pick, but it does have that very nice bonus with the 66% less damage from explosives. Moving on to the demolition at the sergeant rank, it destroys your target's cover with your minigun but does no damage to the enemy target. This will consume 2 ammo points, but this is a very good skill. It's very similar to the collateral damage of the mech troopers from XCOM Enemy Within. You use a lot of ammo, you take down a target's cover, and you basically set up for your other squad mates to have a better shot.
Like that they're still pulling from the mech class and incorporating even its like base functions into new classes.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so at the lieutenant rank with heavy ordnance, the soldier's grenade slot gains a bonus use, so This is very, very useful for anybody who's running a Grenadier and speccing into explosives, especially because that extra charge is very helpful. You can have more grenades. You're basically more grenades running around. Who doesn't want more grenades? And this also includes non-offensive grenades like smoke grenades and whatnot as well. So you could be setting up for a lot of variety of situations here.
Definitely more boom boom needed.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, we all know the XCOM model. There's nothing that a lot of explosives can't handle.
Right. Words to live by.
Mm-hmm. At the captain rank, we have volatile mix, so basically increases the grenade radius by 1 tile and +2 damage. Now, this is not like Long War grenades mechanic. In Long War, you basically had the sappers. They were basically the engineers. Well, they were the engineers. They had the skill called Sapper, which increases the damage done to the environment. So that was really useful for breaking up cover, like random structure columns and whatnot. And they were really great for removing high cover. But unlike Long War, XCOM 2 is following the XCOM formula where the damage is all even across the radius. It's not you have to aim your grenade directly on the center of the target to gain the most damage. It's spread out evenly, so 2 tiles away you're still going to be doing 4 damage of grenade damage compared to the center, which will still be doing 4 damage as well. And the grenades will not necessarily damage the environment to the scale Long War went. So you can still take out cover, yes, but it's not going to be completely destroying stuff.
It's a nice buff to your ace in the hole, so to speak.
It does give more options because we always run into that situation where we just need to have a little extra damage, but we want to control it, and that usually comes in the form of grenades. So at the major rank for demolitions experts, we have the salvo skill. So launching or throwing grenades as your first action does not end your soldier's turn. That is very good because if they do not move, that's basically 2 grenade moves right there. And combined with the abilities already given, like heavy ordnance having extra grenades and having extra damage from volatile mix, that's very, very good on the explosive sides of things.
A lot of synergy going on there in the demolition tree.
Yeah, and I should mention there are other grenade types. It's not just high explosives. You also have incendiary grenades. So fire does actually do something this time. It doesn't just block your path like it did in XCOM Enemy Within. It actually damages things. And lastly, for the demolitions expert at the colonel rank is saturation fire. Now, this is a very powerful move. It fires a cone-shaped attack that damages every enemy in the cone and damages or destroy any cover that it encounters. This will use up free ammo points, so basically the entire ammo count for a standard minigun, unless you have it upgraded with an attachment. But this really sets up for, like, if you have a whole group of enemies just over there, you could just line up that cone and just light them all up and possibly destroy cover, setting up your squad to go to town on them all.
That would be good to just dump everything you have and then just send it to clean up crew.
Especially if you have the attachment, the auto loader, which allows you to have free reloads without costing an action.
Oh yeah, that's definitely one of the attachments I'm looking forward to.
Which is why I put a lot of emphasis on the vulture and building up stockpiles and attachments earlier when we were discussing it in the GTS. So moving on to the heavy gunner side of the Grenadier, this is more based on the minigun, as evident. So the first skill at Corporal is Shredder. So quite simply, your weapon can now shred enemy armor. And that's pretty useful because there are a lot of mechanical enemies I've been seeing with armor, like the Advent mech troopers or the Advent turrets. But there was also that dark event that mentioned alloy padding for all Advent soldiers. So Advent troopers running around with armor, that would be very terrible. So it would be great to have a way to shred all that armor and just do the normal amount of damage rather than doing reduced damage.
So from the looks of it, it's like yeah, you had to let them get padding, but you still have options to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it's, oh, now you're screwed entirely, but the game will give you more ways to be screwed over, undoubtedly, but it still won't be as bad as you think, at least in early game.
Yeah, it's essentially, it's almost like heat ammo from XCOM Enemy Within. Well, back then, heat ammo was just you did more damage to mechanical enemies. In this case, it's not so much as doing more damage, it's just being able to take out the thing that reduces the damage that the enemy will take. And at the Sergeant rank, Suppression is making a return for the Grenadier. It was also available to the Heavy, and Suppression, well, if you don't know, it basically pins down an enemy that triggers a reaction shot if the pinned target moves. So you can lock a target down, and if it has the bright idea to try to run away, then you get an Overwatch reaction shot on it. Obviously there is a aim penalty to that, but the enemy that's being suppressed will have a -50 aim penalty, and this stat can be stacked upon if you suppress it multiple times. This, however, does use up 2 ammo points though, so the Grenadier burns through ammo really fast.
Definitely need like an increased mag size upgrade.
Definitely.
Hollow targeting's back.
Yep, at Lieutenant rank, hollow targeting is making its return. It's it's pretty much the same as it was before. So any directed attacks the Grenadiers will make with their main weapon, it will mark the target, giving the whole squad a +15 aim bonus against the marked target. But that is the key word. It has to be directed attacks. It can't be reaction shots. So if you were to take a normal shot, that's a directed attack. If you were to do suppression, that's a directed shot. That's fine. But if you were to be on Overwatch and then take a shot at something that's moving, that does not count.
So saturation fire doesn't work either. I'm assuming.
Because it's not a directed targeted fire.
I sure. I don't know. You say directed in Overwatch. I mean, you're directly shooting. I don't know.
Well,
it seems like it should be something that would work because you're directly shooting at them.
Well, yes, you are in a sense directly shooting at them, but Overwatch is by chance. It's like you aren't selectively saying there's 3 of them ahead. I want you to shoot the one captain. But if the trooper moves,
maybe it just sounds like it should work. But
yeah,
I wasn't at that.
Well, anyway, at the captain rank we have chain shot. So basically, you take a shot with a -15 aim penalty, but if it hits, automatically take another shot.
Oh.
This uses 2 ammo, obviously. I'm not sure if the second shot has a chance to miss or not. It didn't explicitly say, but I have a feeling that it does register. It calculates its own hit or miss factor in it. But it's very nice if you're up close and personal with a really big target that you really need to take down.
Again, stack on those scopes.
Yeah, it's basically rapid fire, but for the Grenadier. At Major, we have Hail of Bullets. So it unloads a lot of ammo, but it is guaranteed to hit the target, and it will use all of your ammo. Well, all 3, I should say. If you have an expanded magazine, maybe you might have some extra. But it will be guaranteed damage, but at the cost of a lot of ammo.
Definitely good for big targets.
Yeah, like let's say you have a berserker over there and you need to make your shots hit.
Oh yeah.
And lastly, at the Colonel rank we have Rupture. Rupture shots ensures that the targets will take extra damage from all sources, and it uses free ammo points. So it's also great for hitting big targets such as the aforementioned berserker. You obviously want to do as much damage as you can, so best way you would do this is you'd lead up with a Rupture shot, and all shots on the berserker afterwards will start taking more damage from all sources, including explosives.
Good, another attack to use in unison with the rest of the team.
Yeah, definitely. The Grenadier has a lot of very powerful skills. The only downside I see is that they'll have to be spending most of their time reloading or, running out of ammo and not being able to use some of their skills, which could probably be mitigated with the attachments such as auto loaders and expanded magazines. But that is the only weak point I see. I think it's a very solid class. has a lot of abilities to help control the field and make good use of breaking enemy cover to set up for nice targets.
A lot of synergy that could be played with here in the Grenadier, and it's definitely why it's one of the classes I'm leaning towards. We'll get to my other second one.
Yeah.
In a bit.
Now, I mentioned setting up for shots, and this class tends to do a lot of setting up, and that is the Sharpshooter. So, at the squatty rank, all snipers will receive squad sight, and the sniper is an old favorite, and it's making a lot of returns. A lot of skills are making returns, but there are a lot of new strong skills as well. There is a change with the squad sight now. Everybody pretty much remembers the godlike days of the snipers with their amazing squad sight, just sitting over there, just taking pot shots and killing everything. But now there's a slight change on the squad sight. There is an aim penalty with squad sight now. The larger the distance an enemy is away, obviously there will be issues for the aim for the sniper, and that makes sense. So they do have to balance that a little bit. I do have to agree, the sniper was a bit overpowered in its day.
It was. I know snipers got a lot of the kills in my playthroughs.
Yeah. Well,
damn it, Justin.
As it's pretty. It's pretty obvious that the sniper comes equipped with a sniper rifle, but it's also the only class of the 5 classes as of now that can use a pistol.
Yeah, I think it's the only one I've seen that has a pistol as a backup weapon.
Yeah, it's the only one that does have a pistol. So let's start on the sniper side of the tree first, and then we'll work our way down and then over to the gunslinger tree. So the first skill unlocked at Corporal is Long Watch. So basically it allows Overwatch to trigger with squad-sighted targets. It's pretty... Oh. Yeah, I mean that you didn't have that before.
No.
The implications behind that...
Changer.
Yeah, the implications behind that means quite a lot. Here's the catch though. Remember that negative buff from the squad sight?
It works in Long Watch, doesn't it?
Yep. So that distance does play a factor in Long Watch's shots too. And Overwatch by itself already now receives penalties when you're not in concealment. So Overwatches are less accurate rather than taking a normal shot. So you got 2 factors to avoid in there. So Sharpshooters got their work cut out for them.
Definitely a big focus on concealment.
Definitely.
Notice.
Yeah, they want you to move. They want you to move in and hit hard and hit fast. Don't take too much time. At the sergeant rank for snipers, we have Deadeye. So basically with Deadeye, you take a shot with a small aim penalty, but with more damage. This is pretty much the headshot ability for the snipers, or the sharpshooters, I should say. And it makes sense. Obviously, they have to take a aim penalty if they're going for the head. Aim for the head. And obviously, you have stuff like squad sight and squad sight to factor in as well. If you're going for a dead eye shot on a squad sight target, well, you gotta apply those negatives as well.
Hate it when negatives stack, man.
Yep.
Oh well.
Next up at the lieutenant rank for the sniper tree is Death from Above, DFA for short. Killing an enemy at a lower elevation only costs 1 action, and it does not end your turn. That is very good.
High ground has always been important.
Yep, high ground is always important for our sharpshooters, of course. Finally, we're getting a little bit of a balancing act for the bonuses and negatives of squad side, long watch, dead eye. So we're getting a little bit there on the sharpshooter. They did really well with the balancing for most of the classes, I have to say. But the fact that we are able to use only 1 action if you can kill an enemy at a lower elevation really is great, because you could do something like take a shot and then relocate to another position, like to better cover, or reload if you have to.
Yeah.
The next skill at the captain rank is Kill Zone. Now personally, when I saw this, I was really impressed with the idea of this. Basically, it creates a large cone, even larger than the one that the Grenadier uses for saturation fire, was it?
Yeah.
Basically, it creates an even larger cone. This is a Overwatch on steroids. So
and Overwatch is pretty BA to begin with.
Yeah, so not only does it create a large cone, it puts yourself in Overwatch, and if any target moves or attacks within the cone, it gets shot with a reaction shot. And this can keep chaining until the sniper runs out of ammo.
Definitely gonna want to have an auto loader here.
Yep, auto loader and expanded magazines seem to be the way to go for snipers and grenadiers here. And
stock up on those.
Yep, and at the next rank, at Major, Steady Hands is the next one. This is a really interesting one because generally most people who play with snipers tend to do this anyway. So it grants a +10 aim and a +10 critical hit chance if the soldier did not move last turn. So this is really good for snipers that do not move at all, which generally that happens with snipers. You don't want to move them. If they're in
it goes against what snipers do. They set up.
Yeah.
And the targets walk in front of them and they shoot them.
And if you combine this with death from above, some of the negatives start being a little less negligible, as well as when you rank up more, the chances of missing is a little less. But it is XCOM we are talking about. The chance to miss is always there.
Yep.
And lastly, at the Colonel rank is Serial.
Like super serial.
Oh yeah. Every kill you make with your sniper rifle, your action will be refunded. Every kill that is successful. Each shot that is successful reduces the crit chance for the next shot, however.
Oh, okay.
So you can chain shots together, but if you have a really strong upgraded sniper rifle with proper attachments like free reloads and whatnot, you could wreak a lot of havoc with that.
Oh yeah. Especially like you said, you lower it lowers the crit chance. This is why when you're gonna need your talk tactically here, your squad to come in and possibly help soften up the targets a bit. So
have your squad set up,
get those guaranteed kills, and just keep going and going. And
exactly.
Knock them all down.
All right. Moving on to the other skill tree of the Sharpshooter. Now we saw Gunslinger as its own ability in the original XCOM Enemy Within. However, back then Gunslinger was really underpowered. All it really did was +2 damage for your pistol, if I remember correctly. And you tended not to use pistol that much aside from covert ops or you're weakening an alien to capture it with an arc thrower. But in this case, the Gunslinger has a huge advantage on their side for Gunslinger Sharpshooters. So, the first skill at Corporal is Return Fire. When you are fired upon, automatically return fire with your pistol once per turn. That's a free shot right there, just for being shot at.
It sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah. Now, pair that with, let's say, a Stun Lancer that gets close to your Sharpshooter. Stun Lancer makes a run and hits you, and then you just automatically take a shot at close range with a pistol now.
Now he's dead, and you're stunned with no problem. Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully with no complications. In an ideal world, anyway.
In an ideal world, there wouldn't be anyone else around here.
Yes, and of course, the pistol can be upgraded for much better damage, of course. At the Sergeant skill with Lightning Hands, you can fire your pistol at a target and it does not cost an action. You get a free pistol shot right there. You can follow up that free pistol shot with a sniper shot as well, if you want. Or you could chain it to take a Lightning Hands shot for no action, move, get closer to something else, and take another pistol shot. There's so many things you could do with Lightning Hands. It's a very nice ability right there.
It does have a lot of potential.
And the Gunslinger really lends itself to the more aggressive sniper players liking to get into the fray. Give them as many targets as you can get them. At the Lieutenant rank, we have Quick Draw, so firing your pistol as your first action does not end your turn. Let's pair that up with Lightning Hands and some of the other actions so far for Gunslinger. A lot of them do not require actions.
I'm seeing a trend here.
Yeah, there's a lot of pistol shots going off here. He's going Wild West.
Oh yeah.
At the captain rank, he has Face Off. Yeah, Wild West enough for you?
Face Off.
Yep. He will fire once.
Stand off.
Yeah. He will fire once at every visible enemy with his pistol, and your pistol has unlimited ammo. You don't have to reload your pistol like XCOM Enemy Within. So if you get him into a field with a bunch of enemies, he will take a shot at each one.
Isn't it a revolver?
It is a revolver, yes, but he must be using a speed loader or something.
Met clip's bigger on the inside, the cylinder.
Possibly the cylinder could be modified. I mean, obviously when you upgrade your revolver to something like a mag pistol or something else, it probably changes a little bit. But I mean, that is a great thing. If your gunslinger is in there and with a bunch of visible enemies, that's a great ability. And let's say we probably pair that up with something like Squad Sight. That's great.
Oh yeah, definitely. Free pistol shots and unlimited ammo.
Definitely.
How could you not?
Yeah. At the next rank of Major, we have the 5th skill, Aim. And that's pretty self-explanatory. But basically, when you hunker down your gunslinger, it now confers a plus 20 aim to the first shot on your following turn. It does give you a plus 20 aim to your first shot with either your pistol and your sniper, given you already have lightning hands, so you get a free shot with your pistol, or etc. And that's great. And you get the hunker down bonus from the first turn, so it makes your sniper harder to hit if you were taking cover, and then you get shot at. You have the hunker down bonus, but you also have return fire, so you take another automatic shot.
A lot of shots.
Yes.
Like I'm at the bar again.
You can chain so much with this. And lastly, at Colonel, we have Fan Fire. Fires 3 shots with a pistol at the same target.
3 shots?
Yep.
I'm gonna do a 2 shots of vodka joke, but...
So many shots going on at once. I gotta say, the Sharpshooter is really great with its archetypes. I can definitely see both archetypes working really well if you were just to go dedicated to either a dedicated sniper or a dedicated gunslinger. But I could see some skills being very nice mixed up, like, for example, Deadeye. That's basically headshot, but, you know, having lightning hands as a backup shot for a sniper if they need to move, and having a free shot with a pistol, that would be great. Moving on from the Sharpshooter, we have the Specialist. So
the techies.
The Specialist is basically the support class, but the support class is now completely revamped with so many more possibilities. It's one of the most versatile class when deployed as either a medic or a combat hacker. It's equipped with a gremlin drone to aid them in battle, as well as to carry out other protocols such as healing fellow soldiers. And its ability, Aid Protocol, which you get at the squatty rank, is very, very useful, because with Aid Protocol, what you can basically do is your gremlin will fly to a selected friendly target and grant them a plus 20 defense bonus until the start of the next turn. This is very useful because it does not end your turn if you use it as your first action. So let's say you use it and then you can take a shot, or you use it and move your specialist somewhere else. But using this, you can pair things up with, like, let's say you Aid Protocol a soldier and you send that soldier running out into a Overwatch shot. Now they have a plus 20 defense bonus helping them out to avoid that. Or if you have a target that's in a really bad spot, now they have a plus 20 defense to help them out in case something gets sticky. Yep. And of course, this bonus can be upgraded with more advanced models of the Gremlin drones.
I'm excited to see what the difference between each model is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just going to be either doing more damages or gain more charges for things, but that will be explained with the skills right now. So let's work our way down to Battle Medic right here. So at the Corporal rank, we have Medical Protocol. So the Gremlin will now fly out and remotely heal or stabilize friendly targets, and this can gain more charges if a medkit is equipped on the Specialist. So it's a very nice way, instead of having your specialist right next to your wounded soldier to heal them up, like the supports back in the day, now you can have your gremlin go do that across the battlefield.
Yeah. So you don't need to be as mobile as of a medic. You can just send your little.
Although support medics with sprinters were pretty awesome back in the day, though.
Three extra tiles is actually pretty useful as item retrievers.
Yep. The second skill.
Dave, go get that meld. That's all I use my support for, to go get meld.
Yeah. The second skill at Sergeant rank here is the Revival Protocol. So the Gremlin will remove any negative effects on a friendly target, such as disoriented, stunned, panicked, or unconscious. And you can upgrade this for more charges over time. So this is really useful because I've noticed that a lot of enemies now have the capabilities to do a lot of negative effects on your soldiers. And it used to be just panic and all of that, but now there's so much more added on top of it.
Definitely a good skill to have.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these revamped medic abilities are actually really interesting.
So at the Lieutenant rank for the Battle Medic, we have Field Medic. And this should be pretty self-explanatory. It makes its return from XCOM Enemy Within. Field Medic is basically equipped medkits now have an extra 2 charges, and this also counts for multiple medic skills for the specialist, so you are essentially gaining so many charges from this. I think roughly 5 charges maybe? And this can be upgraded on too. So that's a lot of healing right there.
You can never have too little healing.
Yep.
Need more. No such thing as too much healing.
Yep. So at the Captain rank, Covering Fire makes a return for the support tree. So Covering Fire is basically an Overwatch shot that can now be triggered on any enemy action, not just movement. So an enemy is taking a shot at your squad mate. This specialist, if they were on Overwatch, is gonna go ahead and take the chance to take a shot at that enemy. Or an enemy is about to hunker down or something. That's probably the worst case you want to take a shot in, but still.
Good to see that coming back.
Yeah, that's very nice. And it does have a very interesting synergy with some of the other skills the specialist has. So at the Major rank, Ever Vigilant. Now this has to be one of my favorite abilities and one of the abilities I would love to have on any soldier if they were to gain it randomly through promotion via the AWC. Basically, Ever Vigilant is if you spend all actions on movements, you will automatically Overwatch at the end of the turn. Think about that for a moment. This is a really great thing for a supportive character who also has the role of a hacker. They need to be mobile, right? So you want them moving. You also want them to stay near the group, so you gotta move them in case you want to heal someone. Having Ever Vigilant, if they just move the whole time, if they just make a dash, now you get a free Overwatch shot with that.
Right.
That's great. And have that with Covering Fire too.
A lot of versatility here.
Definitely.
I'm impressed.
At the 6th ability, at the Colonel rank, this ability is quite powerful. So Restoration, it allows the Gremlin to fly out and heal or revive each squad member as needed. It's a only single use per mission, but it can be upgraded for more healing. Now I don't think it uses any of the other medic charges at all. I'm not sure, it wasn't stated, but that is a very powerful skill.
Yeah, just restoring anything is super important.
Yeah, and having it go to each and every one of your squad mates without having to, selectively go through, okay, I'll go heal this one, and then I'll go heal that one.
Group heal definitely important.
Yeah, group heal is great. Usually you tend to see group heals as a weaker heal, but the fact that you can upgrade the possible healing with this is a very great thing.
Very good, yeah.
Now, moving on to the right side of the skill tree for the specialist, we have the Combat Hacker. Hacking is a new mechanic, relatively, for our specialists here. They're basically the mechanical mind control or breaking into systems. We kind of had hacking a little bit in XCOM Enemy Within with the covert ops, but that was always a guarantee. You just stood next to a enemy beacon and then you just hacked into it.
Just after a few turns, it's done.
Yep. But now you have a combat hack score, so you have to have a high hack score to win some of the tech score of the enemy, so you can gain rewards from hacks. But let's start out with the first skill you gain at Corporal. So, Combat Protocol will allow your gremlin to target an enemy and deal guaranteed damage, as well as more damage against robotic enemies. And you can use this 2 uses per mission, and this can be upgraded for more damage. Now, it only does roughly 2 free damage, I believe.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like much, right?
Right.
The fact is, it's guaranteed damage. And Overwatch has been a little revamped now. Overwatch used to never break unless you had someone run out there with lightning reflexes or something of the sort, or you risk the dash and hope that they miss.
Yeah.
Now you can break Overwatch by simply just attacking the person who's overwatching. You can break it via that.
So that's a game changer right there.
Yeah, it really is.
We didn't have that in the first game.
I mean, you're having a gremlin fly out there doing 2 free little damage, but removing a Overwatch shot, that's huge.
Oh yeah, just securing the fact that your soldiers can move securely without triggering Overwatch is a big benefit.
Alright, at the Sergeant rank for the Combat Hacker, this is one of my most looked forward to skills for the Specialist here, the Haywire Protocol. So basically, you target a robotic enemy with it and attempt to hack into them to either shut it down or even control it for a few turns. It depends on your hack score, like I mentioned earlier. But if you're able to win the hack score and take control, because you can choose your reward, you can shut them down for a few turns or indefinitely, or even control them for a few turns. Obviously, we would love to have the control, but it depends on your tech score. And the higher rank your Specialist, and the more advanced your gremlin is, the better your tech score will be. But being able to control a robotic enemy like a Advent mech or a Advent turret is very great, because with a mech you could just have them charge into the rest of the enemy, just soaking all that damage up while doing damage to the mech before we eventually lose control of it. It's basically what we did with Mind Control back in XCOM. You just ran them in there as a bullet sponge.
And then if you killed all the enemies with them, and he still had some time to go, just drop a grenade right in front of him.
Yep.
It's just so funny to watch.
Yeah. I think I did that in the last fight with the Ethereal with a controlled Muton Elite.
Yeah, I think you might have.
Yep. At Lieutenant rank, we have Scanning Protocol. Now, this skill I'm not really too big on, but it does have a lot of implications going for it. So it does an instant scan of the area and increases the sight radius of the Specialist for 1 turn, but it's a huge scan radius, it's pretty big. I would love to show you how big, but I don't believe I got a screenshot of it. But the Specialist will now have the ability to reveal any enemies in that radius that's either hidden or disguised. That's pretty good, especially with the fact that we have Faceless running around disguised as civilians. Yep. And this will also reveal enemies that are hidden behind walls and whatnots or in buildings in the scan radius. So that's pretty big.
If you got a mobile ranger, you could send that with him to help him scout by increasing the area.
Well, I'm not sure how that would work. If a ranger somehow got Scanning Protocol through AWC, does he get a gremlin? Does he just do it himself?
I was just saying, send the gremlin with him to help him scout, increase the,
Yeah, that would be interesting. But I would assume that would be more like
scouting buddies.
I'd see that more like a long war kind of modification.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, alright, so at the Captain rank for the Combat Hacker, we have Threat Assessment. Now this is very interesting because it modifies the Aid Protocol skill that we have. So instead of just giving the defense from Aid Protocol, it now gives that targeted friendly unit a covering fire Overwatch shot. But this in turn, however, will make Aid Protocol receive an additional turn for cooldown. It's really good for, targeting an ally that is going to be able to do a lot of damage, but you want to be able to give them a little extra. Or let's say, give this to a Grenadier, having a Overwatch reaction shot with covering fire with a minigun, that's great.
Oh yeah, miniguns all the way.
Mm-hmm. The problem is, though, if you use this with a sniper, though, the Overwatch will only trigger with a pistol, not the sniper.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn it.
At the major rank, we have Guardian for the combat hacker. Now this is a very interesting skill because with every successful Overwatch shot that the specialists take, there is a 50% chance that another shot will be made, and it depends on the ammo and available targets in the area. That's a coin flip right there. But I mean, this is XCOM, so the chances are never in our favor unless we're overpowered.
Right.
Honestly, I feel like it's a decent move, but I prefer something a little more reliable. You know, I don't want to rely on a coin flip here. Now, capacitor discharge at the colonel rank is the last skill for the combat hacker. It's a very interesting one as the gremlin will fly out to an area and it will do damage in a radius to the enemies and possibly stun enemies that was hit in the radius. It's a pretty I believe it's about the size of a standard grenade radius, but the fact that it just flies out there and does a lot of damage and possibly stun an enemy is great. Obviously, robotic enemies receive more damage from the discharge. This ability, however, is similar to Restoration in the fact that it can only be used once per mission, but the damage can be upgraded with more advanced drones, of course.
Yeah.
Overall, though, the specialist is, there's a lot going for the specialist that could happen.
One of the more uniquer classes.
Definitely. I feel like, if you went for dedicated builds on either side, that works too, but I'd say out of all of these skills, they are interchangeable. They are great in every way. The only one I'm not really sure on is Guardian here, with the coin flip chance on taking another shot. I'd rather have something like Ever Vigilant over Guardian.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Restoration is pretty good. Capacitor discharge is pretty good. It depends on what you want. Do you want a medic or do you want a damage dealer? It really is a very flexible class.
Yeah, if you run two specialist squad that spec in different things, you got a lot of options here.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have both your bases covered, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah. And moving on to the next class, we have the Ranger.
This is the other one that I've been going between. I haven't decided yet.
I need a choice soon.
I know you need a choice soon. Shut up. It's hard. Do I want to be the big guy with the heavy guns, or do I want to be the cool badass with the sword? Shut up.
Well, maybe our skill breakdown will help you decide, as well as some of the viewers who are having hard times deciding on what they want.
I've seen the videos. They didn't help.
Well, anyway, so the Rangers are recon and close combat specialists, and they are very mobile classes. They are equipped with shotguns, but can use assault rifles as well if they need the range, and they are, of course, equipped with a sword. And these swords can be upgraded as well once you develop the tech for it. Of course, being the fact that they have swords and generally use shotguns, they excel at close quarters combat, and some of the skills really point to that. And the swords, obviously they are able to use the swords for melee attacking. By doing a melee attack, you have to be an adjacent tile from an enemy and in move range as well. You can do this basically, let's say you dash towards an enemy, you can dash towards an enemy and melee attack them as well. So they were really nice.
Really, really good.
Yeah. All Rangers have the ability to use Slash, and Slash is pretty self-explanatory. Any enemy within movement range with your sword, you will be able to attack them in an adjacent tile. But moving on to Scout though, we have Phantom at the rank of Corporal. So Phantom, basically, when the squad breaks concealment, this soldier remains hidden. Now, conceal is very important in XCOM 2 because it makes all the differences. That's when you get to jump on the enemy. That's when you get to plan out your ambush or move past enemies undetected and get yourself into a better position. With the fact that a Ranger can stay hidden when the squad is revealed, you can navigate that Ranger into a better position to get a better shot while the enemies are focused on the rest of your squad.
like I said, they're putting a big deal into concealment. Having a soldier that can just drop into it and move about is going to be really, really helpful.
Exactly.
Set up ambushes and traps and all that fun stuff.
Yep. And working hand in hand with Phantom, actually. I should say, actually, if the Ranger is the first one, if they have Phantom and they are the first one to break concealment, then obviously the Phantom bonus does not count for them. So obviously you want to break concealment with someone else aside from a Phantom Ranger. So at Sergeant rank, though, we gain the ability Shadow Strike for the Scouts. So while concealed, they gain a plus 25 bonus aim and critical hit chance when attacking enemies in concealment. Now take that into the fact that I mentioned you can maneuver them into a better spot, like if you go for a flank. That plus 25, that's a great hit for a concealment phase.
Definitely stacking the odds in your favor here.
Mm-hmm. And it adds on to the whole Rangers keep mobile, get the flank on the enemy. Mm-hmm. And at the Lieutenant rank for the Scouts, we get Conceal. So this is pretty simple. You get a one-time use per mission to re-enter concealment. You just, whenever you want to use it, you just re-enter concealment. That's great when combined with Shadow Strike.
Just go back into concealment whenever you want, buddy. It's okay.
Exactly. And that builds up really nice with Shadow Strike. Once again, getting that plus 25 bonus aim and critical hit back, that's great.
Yeah, right?
Yep. At the Captain rank for the Scouts, we get Implacable, and this is a really great one. If you score 1 or more kills on your turn, you are granted a bonus move. So take into account we're trying to go for flanks, we're concealed, we have the Shadow Strike bonus. It's pretty likely that we're gonna get a kill unless we roll the dice really badly. So
yeah, that's excellent for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, let's say we maneuver ourselves out in the open while we're concealed, we take a flank shot, we get the kill, and then we get the action from Implacable, then we can move the Scout Ranger back into cover again. That's great. Now, I should mention though, this is a bonus move only. You can't take 2 attacks with that extra action. You have to move. At the Major rank for the Scouts, we have Deep Cover. So, in Deep Cover, if you did not attack this turn, you will hunker down automatically. That's pretty good for a concealed Scout Ranger. Here's the thing though. There's a very, very sinister combination to use with Deep Cover. And you know what that is? Overwatch. It works.
It works.
Yeah. That does not count as attack. You are Overwatched hunkered down in concealed mode.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh, it's great. And finally, at the Colonel rank, making its return to XCOM is Rapid Fire. Everybody should know this one. So, as we all know, Rapid Fire can fire 2 shots, but each shot has a minus 15 aim penalty. Both of these are calculated independently, of course, so you can miss either the first or the second one. There is no cooldown on this ability. It just depends on how much ammo you're carrying on your weapon. Mm-hmm. So this is really great. So use Rapid Fire combined with Shadow Strike while concealed.
So many options, man.
This is pretty much the combo class. Moving away from the Scout though, we move on to the Assault side of things for the Rangers. This is for the Rangers who like to go guns blazing and sword slashing. So first up on the Corporal rank is Blade Master. It's very simple. You deal +2 extra damage with the sword attacks. Pretty self-explanatory. Now, you probably wouldn't think much about that. It's like, why not take Phantom? Well, that's another way you could do it. A sword-based Scout Ranger is possible, but the thing with Blade Master, it just gives you that extra little bit of damage if you need it. Like, there's probably going to be so many situations where you run a Ranger up hoping to kill something with your sword, and then you fall short of 2 damage. Wish you took that 2 damage now, didn't you?
Yeah, right?
At the Sergeant rank, we get Shadow Step. Now, this is very similar to an old ability back in XCOM, Enemy Within and Enemy Unknown, and that ability was Lightning Reflex. I'm pretty sure you remember that.
Oh yeah, I remember Lightning Reflexes, but I know it's changed.
Yep. So, back in the original, lightning reflexes was used to break overwatches. It just basically gave your assault class the ability to become invulnerable to overwatch shots and just break overwatches for the rest of the team. And so you could just move ahead just fine. This time, however, with Shadow Step, the soldier does not trigger overwatch or reaction fire. So they can just run towards the enemy that's overwatching and not trigger it. But that's the key word. It didn't trigger the overwatch, so they still have it. But like I mentioned earlier, Overwatch has been revamped now, so if you can maneuver that Shadow Step assault towards a good shot on the overwatched enemy, you take a shot, that Overwatch is now removed.
Always good.
And the third ability at Lieutenant rank is a old classic. All the assaults used to come with the run and gun ability. It's now on the assault side of things, strangely enough. It's the same as before. It just takes an action. You can take an extra action after dashing, and it's not always necessary for a melee attack. So let's say you move, you take a dash move, and then you take a shot at something. You know, standard run and gun tactics right there.
Run and gun, like I said, hey, we're the guerrilla forces here. Run and gun is where we want to go.
Exactly.
Or run and sword or whatever.
Yeah, run and sword.
Because Ranger has the machete.
Slash and dash, I think, is the term you're looking for.
Slash and dash. I like that.
Yep.
That's like, wish you could rename abilities. I would rename run and gun.
One day. Anyway, moving on to the captain rank is possibly one of my favorite skills and revamped versions from the original is Blade Storm. So basically, in the original, we had close quarters, I believe it's either combat or close quarter specialist.
Yeah, it's like whatever comes within like 4 squares of you get shot at or something like that.
And usually you do that with a shotgun and that thing would die. And it was extremely funny to watch something like that happening if you were volleyballing a berserker between two units shooting at it, and there's a close combat specialist in the center shooting at it the whole time.
That was so funny. Oh man, I want to see that happen again.
Oh, that's great. We might see more of that. But Blade Storm is a little different in the sense that it only uses your sword. So you get a free sword attack on any enemies that enter or attack from melee range. That is very useful to keep in mind here, because we have enemies such as Stun Lancers who will just rush at you to get in melee range. Let's have them rush a Blade Stormed assault, shall we?
It's just instant death.
Yeah.
Just slash.
The same goes for the Viper, actually. The Viper ability to grab a unit and pull them towards the Viper and constrict them. Blade Storm will actually trigger on that as well.
It will.
Yeah, so basically it'll get binded and then you Blade Storm hit it and you either get released or you kill the Viper outright from the Blade Storm. It's actually quite hilarious.
Yeah.
And at the major rank we have Untouchable. This is a very valuable skill for any ranger, really. I mean, deep cover is good, but I kind of like the idea of Untouchable here. If you score a kill during your turn, the next attack against the soldier will miss. It's a guaranteed miss. This includes AoE, like grenades. You are dodging explosions. What more can you say about that?
Right.
That's really valuable. And the chances with the build, if you're like melee up close with a shotgun, chances are you're gonna get at least 1 kill. And if you're going up against a small group of enemies, you're gonna be basically invincible.
Gotta love invincibility.
And the last skill at the Colonel rank for the Ranger is the Reaper. Now this is a very interesting move because it's a chain melee attack where the first melee attack cannot miss. And it gives you a extra action each time you make a kill, but each melee kill in Reaper mode grants you an extra action, but at the cost of reduced damage with each subsequent melee attacks. So you can't just keep on chaining forever. Eventually you're going to do something like 2 damage sword slash.
That's again, you have to partner that up with your team who's like softening them up to get the most out of that ability.
Also, it should be noted that this ability cannot be combined with run and gun.
Good to know.
Yeah, so basically it's like it's probably best to set up, like Mike said, weaken a bunch of enemies and then have your assault go in there in Reaper mode, slashing everything up and killing everything. And should it fail to kill something, hopefully you have at least one action left to move them into cover.
Yeah, he's definitely an assault build is a good janitor for your squad.
Overall, the Ranger has quite a lot to offer. I mean, all of its skills are like, they all have a good use here. I really would have no problems with any of these. The only one I would probably have cover with is deep cover, but that in itself is still good, so take that for what it's worth.
A lot of options here.
Moving on to the last and final class that we know as of now is the Psi Operative. Now this is a really interesting class here.
I like how they renamed the ranks.
Yes. So with the Psi Operative, it's its own standalone class now, and it's no longer an add-on like XCOM Enemy Within, so you can have a Psi Sniper or something of the sort. Leveling the Psi Operative is much more different than the rest of the classes because level up is done within the Psi Labs, so you train your Psi Operatives within the Psi Labs. You can pull them out of training if they need to be on a mission, unless it's their first time in the Psi Labs, of course. So another thing that's very interesting about the Psi Operative, though, it is capable of learning all 14 Psi abilities.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Having a fully maxed out character, but it's going to cost a lot of resources, though. You gotta say that.
Yeah, resources and time, I should say. And it's really unfeasible to do this with every Psi Operative.
Now you just really would need one to just max him out and just bounce him around wherever he's needed.
Yeah, you only need one Charles Xavier.
Truer words have never been spoken, man.
Yeah, I should mention though, you guys have probably counted by now, there's only 13 Psi abilities listed. There's actually a 14th ability that's not listed here. It pairs up with Soul Steel, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So, training the Psi Operative is already different on its own, so they don't gain experience from out on the field, I believe. They gain their abilities through training in the Psi Labs. So these abilities, however, are random and can be trained out of order. So while it may say you get stasis at the initiate rank, it's possible you could get Void Rift or Null Lance at your first rank.
Yeah, like the skills are random, which, like I said, we'll go into making each playthrough different.
Yeah.
You never know what you're gonna get.
It's a whole fun bag, really. Basically, each time you go in for training, it presents you with 3 Psi skills, and then you choose one of them to train in. And the Psi Operative tends to favor buffing friendly units or damaging and debuff enemies, and they come equipped with assault rifles and a Psi amp. These amps can be upgraded, of course, to increase the effectiveness of their Psi abilities.
A lot of buffing going on here.
Yep. These Psi abilities, of course, rely on the Psi stat of the Psi Operative versus the enemy will stat, their will to resist the Psi. Same vice versa when our soldiers are resisting enemy Psi attacks.
Always good.
Yeah. So for the sake of consistency, we're just going to work down from the ranks as is, because it is completely random. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work on... we're going to talk about stasis first. Stasis is pretty self-explanatory. It stuns a target for 1 turn, and nothing can damage the target that's being stasis, and it lasts for a single turn, as I said. This is very good for locking down a troublesome unit that you need to get away with or don't want to deal with right away when your team is busy with other enemies. So, let's say a Berserker or something of the sort.
Good to have as an option.
Moving on to the Telepath side, at the Acolyte rank, we have Insanity. So, Insanity can inflict negative conditions. Now, we mentioned that a little earlier with the Gremlin a bit. These negative conditions include several things like disorientations, being stunned, panic, and with Insanity, the possibility of gaining mind control over the enemy you are inflicting this on. This tends to be for organic enemies, of course.
Always is.
What do you think of the negative conditions now that there's so many more rather than just panic, Mike?
Hey, you gotta balance it out somehow. It could be worse.
Yeah.
The way I see it.
I should say this is also possible on our own soldiers because sectoids can use insanity, so it's possible that they can gain mind control on our soldiers as well.
Sectoids. They up the sectoid game. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, your basic sectoids is now your everyday sectoid commander from XCOM Enemy Within. Anyway, moving on to the next skill at the Adept level for the Telepath. There are actually 2 skills here, that's what I mentioned earlier. You have Soulfire and Soul Steel. Now Soulfire, it's not listed in the tree like I mentioned, but it is guaranteed damage to organic enemies. It also ignores cover and armor. Very useful. Once
Anything
again,
that can
yeah, go ahead.
anything that could ignore defenses is always useful.
And the fact that it's guaranteed damage as well. And that damage can be amped up by the Psi amps by our operatives.
Yeah.
Soul Steel, on the other hand, is kind of along the same lines. It does damage to the enemy, and half of that damage is returned as health to the Psi operative. And this can only restore up to lost health, though, not boost your overall health limit like Team Fortress 2, where you're Ubering a heavy or something.
Yeah, definitely some self-sustaining is useful.
It's very nice if you don't have a gremlin medic nearby.
Yeah.
The next skill at the Disciple level for the Psi Operative is Solace. It's a passive skill, and basically it surrounds the Psi Operative in a 4-tile aura around the Psi Operative, and it negates negative effects like panic or disorient. So it basically, in effect, renders the Psi Operative immune to all of these negative conditions, as well as any friendly units if they are in the 4-tile radius of the Psi Operative. So let's say you had a whole team that really got hit hard and they're all panicking. You could just have a Psi Operative make a mad dash through all of them to remove their panic.
So basically like a mobile therapist.
Pretty much. It's like, tell me your problems. I don't have my long chair for you to lay down.
Just writing issues down as he goes.
Exactly. Moving on to the Mystic rank for the Psi Operative, we have Schism. So Schism stacks on top of Insanity, so it expands upon that. And it does a small amount of damage to the enemy and ruptures the enemy, making them weaker to all future sources of damage. So not only do we get the negative conditions associated with Insanity and the possibility of mind control, we can now make them weaker to all damage sources and put a little bit of damage on them.
Definitely increasing the amount of damage taken to the enemy is a good ability to have. And pairing that with others is totally set up for more situations.
Yeah, set up a schism on a Berserker. I hate to keep using the Berserker as the scapegoat here, but the Berserker has a lot of health and it tends to be
What has he done to deserve our sympathy?
Oh, hey, she's empowered. Leave her alone. Alright, so at the Warlock rank...
So we start shooting at whatever.
At the Warlock rank for the Psi Operative, we have Fuse. Now this is a really fun Psi ability right here.
And you get to be called a Warlock. How awesome is that?
Yeah. If an enemy is carrying explosives, they can be remotely detonated by the Psi Operative.
Yeah. When I heard about that,
yeah,
definitely useful.
All the usual benefits from a grenade exploding applies to Fuse here. And this can also be activated on corpses as well. So if a corpse has an unexploded grenade, then you can detonate that as well. Might take some time.
Of course, you lose all the items on it.
Yeah, might take some time to maneuver the enemies towards where you want them to be, though. And
maybe we'll get lucky and they'll hunker down.
Yeah. And lastly, for the Psi Operative on the Telepath side, we have the Magus rank, and it comes with No Lands. This projects a 1-tile beam of Psi, well, not 1 tile, but a whole row, but it's only 1 tile in width, projects a beam of Psi energy that damage every target it passes through. I'm not sure if that counts friendly as well, but I'm pretty sure it does. and it goes through cover.
It's the big old XCOM Kamehameha.
Moving away from the telepath side, which is quite powerful in its own right for the Psi Operative, is the Resident. Now, the Resident is more of a supportive Psi Operative side, but it is very useful in its own regard. At the Acolyte rank, they have access to the Inspire ability, which grants a bonus action immediately for a friendly target. So you have a target that, for example, a Grenadier who you moved into a wrong spot and now is in flanked. Now you can give them an Inspire move to get them back to somewhere safe instead.
Granting, additional moves is pretty much a
it's always a
in any game.
It's always a benefit. Yeah, it's an extra life for you. And speaking of extra life, we have at the Adept rank for the Resident side is Stasis Shield. Stasis is expanded upon here, but basically Stasis Shield is similar in the fact that now it can target friendly units. It still stuns the friendly for a turn, but they are immune to damage for the rest of that turn. That is very good if you have somebody that's in a very bad situation, like surrounded on all sides by zombies and chrysalids.
Yeah. We know a few people who've had that happen too.
Yeah, we have. At the Disciple rank for the Resonance, we have Sustain. This is a very, very useful one, in my opinion, for Psi Operatives. If the Psi Operative suffers a killing hit, they will go into stasis for 1 turn and then get back up the following turn with 1 HP. This can be only used only once per mission, however. Burn and poison still applies, so if they were already burned and poisoned, that extra DPS damage is going to happen on them after they get back up. Yeah,
Jeez.
So tough there. However, at the next rank for Mystic on the Resonant, we have Fortress. So the Psi Operative is now immune to fire, poison, and acid, and explosive damage.
Nice.
Pair that up with Sustain and you covered up the weak side aside from getting shot or punched.
Yeah.
So that's really useful, like if you're running through a bunch of acid to, get to somebody that's wounded or something of the sort, or maneuvering through a bunch of explosive type enemies. It's very useful. At the next rank for Warlock, for the Resonant, we have Domination. In other words, we have the old Mind Control Psi ability from XCOM. Like I said, it's pretty much mind control. You can only do this once per mission. Well, I should say only 1 successful attempt. You can attempt it as many times as you can until you succeed.
Yeah, at least they give you that.
Yeah. I believe it's a pretty quick cooldown. I think it's only like 4 turns for a cooldown, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And lastly, at the Magus rank for the Resonant is the Void Rift. Now, that was also the final ability, the final Psi ability available to the Chosen One for XCOM. The Void Rift is an AoE explosive field of energy that damages anything immediately inside its radius. It does affect both robotics and organics, but if they are organic enemies, they have a chance to suffer a negative condition such as insanity. So maybe you can mind control something that got Void Rift. That'd be a high chance. So not only do you get the damage on them when you cast the Void Rift, you get the chance to put a negative condition on that organic enemy. And just overall, that's a really powerful move by itself.
Black hole ability and status effects. Are you sure this isn't Pokemon? Come on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. That sounds more like a Yu-Gi-Oh thing.
It's time to duel.
Yes. But that is all of the abilities for the Psi Operative. And like we said before, the Psi Operative can learn all 14 skills. It will just require a lot of time and a lot of resources. So if you want to invest in it, you can do so. You can unlock the Psi Operative relatively early, unlike the XCOM Enemy Within, where you had to wait till after the base assault.
Yeah. That was more, the PsyOps was more story related anyway.
Yes. But now we know about the Psi, so we can develop it on our own with the help of alien technology.
Yes. It's gonna be fun.
Yep. So moving away from the classes, let's talk about the loadouts a little bit.
There's the fedora.
Gotta tip that fedora, my lady. Anyway, so let's talk about the loadout here. So we've talked a little bit about the UI and the stats a bit in the last episode, but we wanted to focus more on the character customization as well as the equipment we are going to be taking into battle. So we are going to be using the Sharpshooter as an example here. Very dashing looking Sharpshooter, I must say, with that monocle.
Yeah, she's definitely got the swag on.
Yep. So here we have the Personal Combat Sim, PCS for short. You might have noticed that in the stat window there was a small rectangular slot. Basically, you can equip a soldier with a PCS after you make the correct research options and gather resources for it, but it provides a small little benefit to the soldier that's using the PCS. These are one-time use though, like once you equip it, that's going to be your PCS until you equip another PCS. You can't just pull it out and use it on someone else. That's not sanitary.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So
we're in a close space, you gotta keep infection low.
So in this case, the PCS in question here is Superior Focus, which is a plus 25 will bonus, which is really good for resisting panic and psionic attacks. Now I tended to notice there seems to be 3 tiers of items and attachments. It tends to be standard, which usually doesn't say anything. It'll just probably be focus, and then advanced, and then superior. I tend to notice those 3 the most. I don't know if there's any more tiers beyond that, but you know, XCOM tends to stick with the magical number of 3.
It's good that by that makes it a good assessment.
Yeah. Moving a little bit from the PCS though, we of course come back to our favorite weapon customization screen, and of course with all of it comes the attachments. Me and Corey mentioned in the design video, these attachments are not there for aesthetics. They are there for aesthetics as well, but they also carry bonuses, like this hair trigger you see that's being put onto the sniper rifle. And that hair trigger has a 15% chance that the shot will not cost an action for the active turn. That's really, really good, even if it's very low. But it is an attachment, so every little bit counts.
Yeah, it's definitely a game changer to have attachments.
Yeah.
Not only aesthetically pleasing, but broader effects on the weapon.
Not to mention,
I know you had like scopes in the first game, but that is up the accuracy. But they're definitely branching off of that.
That's true. Not to mention, it's actually a lot more tactically feasible because we're putting attachments on the weapons. It's not taking up utility slots like the scopes back in XCOM. So instead of having a scope taking up a slot, you could have like a med kit, you could have flashbangs, you could have something else that you could be using while your attachments are actually on the gun. And I believe I mentioned it before, but I think the maximum amount of attachments you can have per gun is 3. I do not know that for sure though, so do not take my word on that.
Again, magic number, we're just going off it.
Yeah, it seems to be always magical number 3. A little bit more on the weapon customization. Of course, you can name your weapon. Who doesn't love to name their weapon and, you know, cradle it in your sleep and whisper in its ear?
Hey, I did that twice. Twice.
Yes, I was just poking fun at you, Mike. It's a pretty big gun you have there.
You should see my other one.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so like I said, you can.
That's what I'm known for around here.
Yes. So you can, of course, name your weapon. Adds a little bit of personality to the weapon, like me and Corey have mentioned before.
I sense a lot of the big D coming.
So here's an interesting thing, of course. We can also change the color of the weapon. Now, you may think that's not a big deal. We could do that back in XCOM Enemy Within, but the thing was, it only matched the color of your armor. So
yep.
It's like, I have purple armor, now I have a purple gun. But now you could have, I have green armor, but I have a purple gun.
Green and purple. if you say you don't like that, we're gonna have some words.
Yeah.
There's a very nice shade of purple on that.
I mean, looking at that by itself, that's significant hardware right there.
Oh yeah, I'm afraid of that gun, mostly because it's purple.
Yeah, and to make it even more frightening, we could add patterns on it.
Yeah, hearts. Oh shit.
There are so many things available. Now I'm not.
Dude, I could just play a game that's just customized characters. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna have so much fun with this.
Oh, you're gonna love what we talk about next. That's gonna be the next huge topic, and actually the last topic for the episode. But we'll get there in just a bit. So I'm not quite sure this is all of the weapon patterns, but these are the ones that are displayed as of now. There may be future ones in DLC, but we will have to wait until then.
Mm-hmm.
So moving into the loadout again. We see the loadout is pretty similar to what it was before. It's much nicer in the UI design, like I mentioned in the last episode. We got your basic armor slot, your primary weapon, your secondary weapon.
They named it sniper rifle.
Yes,
balls.
they named it Bollocks. Yeah, I was actually trying to stifle my laughter because you kept making dick jokes.
I made a dick joke earlier about the sniper rifle. Oh my god, it works.
And of course, you have your utility item. And that's pretty standard, right?
Yep.
That's pretty standard utility right there. Just wanted to put this one in, just some of the new armor that you get in there. It's called the Spider Suit. It's basically the skeleton armor from XCOM. It still has the grappling hook and all of that, and the extra mobility.
It's good for snipers.
Yep. And some of the other secondary stuff, so as you can see here with the UI here, we have the mag pistol, which is the upgraded pistol. We have a arc blade, which is an upgraded sword. We have a Psi Amp and other stuff like gremlins.
Psi Amp is good to note. Psi Ops just channel their energy into like the
amp
gun
itself.
Then they cast their abilities. It's just like amplifies the power and helps focus them.
It's not actually confirmed that we are training full-on Psi troopers. I mean, I assume they have some latent ability of Psi to control and understand it, but they are using the amplifier to better control it.
Yeah.
It's not like back in the original XCOM, you honed your Psi abilities out in the field.
Yeah, you were full-on Psi and you trained in the fires of combat.
Yep.
Got better.
And moving on to the utility items here, we have other stuff like mine shields, gas grenades, your basic frag grenades, nanoscale fast, all your other utility items.
All the good stuff, all the fun stuff.
I chose this particular image in particular just for the mine shield, just to illustrate that the mine shield you can actually gain really early on, I believe around the same time as you gained your Psi Operatives, and that's mainly to combat the amount of Psi enemies you face. It's always good to have this.
Yeah.
And lastly, for the loadouts, this is a smaller image, but I did notice it. We can't have an XCOM game if we can't have an extra utility slot.
Yeah.
Of course, back in the original XCOM games, you could fill so many pockets, like your knee pocket, your back pocket, your shoulder pocket, etc.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like armor with lots of pouches.
Yeah, just pockets and pouches everywhere. But we'll have to make do with 2.
Yeah.
Moving on to the last but big topic of this episode is character customization.
There we go.
Yes. So we have a new mechanic, the character pool. This is very interesting because, as we all know, before we would have to customize our character by going into the main game, loading in your save, going to your barracks, and then starting to work on your soldiers one by one. We are still working on soldiers one by one, yes, but
yeah, they're still there.
You can access the character pool from the main menu. You don't have to get into the game itself, and you can just start experimenting with all the customizations. The thing about the character pool, though, it doesn't mention this, but you can access customization options that are locked out by veterancy. So you have to be a certain rank to unlock certain customizations. With the character pool, you have free reign. You can just check out all the options that are available. Which, speaking on that fact, when XCOM 2 does finally drop on February 5th, I will be doing a episode 0 for the XCOM 2 series, where I will be just sitting there going through all the customization options. But this will be a little bit of a preview just to give you guys an idea of what you can do for your customization and what you want to make as a suggestion to me if you want to join the XCOM squads or simply be a staff member.
Or, it's like, yeah, I know it was staff members. You want to be a staff member? That's now an option if you want to go that route. But I know I was telling you earlier, and this is a good time to put it in. I know how that sounds. If you went there, high five. Proud of you. I said I was gonna do something with the squad. I want to have like a uniform squad, like we all like kind of look the same. Like if that's like coordinating colors, like one solid primary, and then we just have like accent that with secondary, each different. We'll look like the Power Rangers essentially.
Basically,
is what I'm trying to go. If that's something we want to do.
I mean, it's all up to you. You are the squad leader for Bravo Squad.
That's what I think I'm gonna do. Like we'll be all like our armor will just be white, and we'll accent it with different colors. Like I'll be red, Richard maybe black, whoever else. It's first come, first serve, guys. Get your colors into Lewis.
I believe I don't know if pink is actually available. I was looking through it earlier, and I did not see pink.
If the pink is not available, I will honestly be disappointed.
I will be disappointed if there's not pink.
Be disappointed because gotta have.
Yeah.
Also, with the code names, I was thinking of doing like a theme. I'm not entirely sure I want to go with that because some guys might like certain names. We can do a consensus later.
Yeah.
With the rest of Bravo Squad, give your like suggestions, like your answer to Lewis, who will then give it to me.
All right.
And, I just want to get us involved as a unit in this.
Yeah. Not just a random ragtag group.
That's a random ragtag. Just take Bravo and just like lift it up to the model of like a professional alien hunter squad. Is what I'm saying.
I was actually about to make a joke here.
if you guys want, if like anyone who's in Bravo Squad is like okay with like having like a theme for code names, just give Lewis suggestions. We can all like come up with stuff through him, and we can work together. We represent Bravo, and we must maintain our image of the Bravo badasses.
All right,
I'm done. That was my bit.
We'll get into more about the suggestions in a little bit. Actually, I want to give the viewers the chance to look through the customization options.
We don't have to do anything with nicknames right now.
So,
because our nicknames locked by rank again? Or
yes,
is our nickname straight out the bay?
They are.
Okay, so we got some time. Yes.
All right, so customization is tenfold more, just more. There's so much more. The game can be customization on its own, and it would be great.
Like I said, I would play a game that's literally just customizing different characters.
Jake Sullivan said he was really proud of customization. It was one of his most...
I remember watching, like he would write down things as a joke. Like he wrote down monocle.
Yeah, and we saw the monocle on the sniper.
And then he like months later, the guys come up to him and was like, "Hey, the monocle's in." He's like, "What?"
That's a joke.
I was joking. And it's just like, "Oh, all right, keep it in. If it's in, it's in."
Say that's the great thing. It's like get the fedora in there and all of that.
Fedora's classic though.
Yeah, you gotta have classic XCOM. Although we do not talk about the Bureau here. That is a story we
don't even bring up to.
Anyway, so we have a lot of customization options. Although it's really hard to see here, the highlighted bit is called is character info. We have props, we have face, of course, the presets, I should say. We have various hairstyles. You can customize hair color, eye color, which was not previously available. There is race, of course, always have to have that. You have skin color options. What Mike was saying earlier with the armor, have a main armor color, and then you can have an accented color with a secondary.
Distinguish ourselves, Bravo, so we know.
And then, of course, you cover weapon color, which we did in weapon customization. The voice packs are extensive. I'll get to that in a little bit. There's attitudes, and there's so much more.
I heard they really went into
the
voices.
They went there. It's more comprehensive than Long War.
Oh yeah.
So in character info, you got your basic stuff. You got your first name, you got your last name, you got your nickname, which is probably going to be locked until you're like corporal or something. You got your biography. Mike, I'm still waiting on your backstory.
I'm gonna work on it tomorrow at work.
Same goes for the rest of the Bravo squad if any
I gotta
one of you shows up.
talk to Rich.
Yeah.
About that. He doesn't know. I neglected to inform him.
On that
So
on that instance though, anybody joining the XCOM squad can volunteer in the comment section and give me some information, what your preferred class would be, what you want to look like, your colors, etc., all that stuff, or your little short biography. Like, let's say you were a soldier now in the resistance who had a father who served in the XCOM main forces in the first war, but he died, and now you're carrying on their legacy, etc., that sort of thing. Give me something like that. Go crazy with it. If you do not come with a biography, though, I will be forced to assign my own biography of you.
And I am willing to help him come up with some crazy stuff.
Keep that in mind. You have Mike here.
You have us. You have us coming up with your backstory.
You have been warned.
And my shirt's already off, so.
And, of course, a huge thing right here. It may not seem like much. Nationality. You can choose your flag. choose your flag badge.
Now we were. I think was I like South African maybe?
Yeah, I think you were.
or like Belgian.
You were
something like that.
You were Puerto Rican maybe. I don't know.
Maybe Puerto Rican, even though I was Italian.
Yeah.
I think me and Rich were the only one who has like actual accents in Bravo Squad last time.
Yeah, you were the only two that were speaking English.
He was Polish and you're Polish or German, and I was Italian.
Yeah. Gender, like I mentioned earlier, you can switch the gender of the character, so you don't have to like go through hours of mindless recruiting just to find a female or a male. It's very nice that option now exists.
Yeah.
Like I said, there are many flag options, so if it's available in here, please specify what nationality you want it to be. If you don't really care, I'll probably default you to something.
Probably just default to American or something.
Maybe. We'll see. It also depends on like where our resistance HQ is.
True.
So there's obviously the nationalities. I'm just gonna breeze through most of these. Not gonna go into too much details. There's not much to go into it.
Oh yeah.
Not
much? Are you kidding me? Look at this list.
Yeah, I say not
this
much.
This is like the fourth list of what we have.
That's an understatement. This is a list within a list right now. We are in
listception right now.
Yes, we must go deeper. So you got stuff
I will go deeper.
We got stuff like helmet and hats here. It's basically Team Fortress 2 hats for XCOM 2. You got arm customization, legs customization, torso customization. I'll elaborate on those three in a bit. You got upper face props, lower face
props.
props.
Like glasses and stuff, visors, or
armor.
Lower face masks.
Yeah, you got armor patterns, same as the patterns for weapons, but for your armor, of course. Weapon patterns, we covered that in the weapon customization. You have left arm tattoo, right arm tattoo. You can go both tattooed if you want, or you.
Dude, my guy's gonna be tatted and scarred up like no one's business.
Yeah, and of course you have the tattoo color and scars. Like I mentioned in the design video, though, scars is locked behind veterancy, so the higher rank you are, the more scar options that are available. Unless you're working in the character pool, then you can choose from there, and these customizations will carry over. But then you won't have the option of knowing that you got that character immediately. You would have to get them by reward.
Which is why anyone who's volunteering is not going into a pool, because there's no guarantee when you'll show up.
Yeah, the only ones who are guaranteed to go into the pool are those who volunteer for staff members only, or VIPs, or dark VIPs, I might add.
Now what that means is you can volunteer to be, say, you're a VIP. We have to go rescue you because you're like a scientist or something.
Mm-hmm.
Dark VIP. You're a bastard and we have to kill you because you're against this.
Well, I mean, it could be kidnapped and get them for information, or
yeah, but those are less fun.
Yeah, those are less fun, but you never know. Moving on though, because we are running through a lot of time here. I think we're close to 2 hours now. We got a lot of hats. I mean, there are just so many hats.
That helmet though.
Yeah, these are the Delta helmets. Those are very nice.
We could, guys, if we want to work on like a prop theme for Bravo,
you'll love the props coming up.
Or a similar tattoo for at least one of the arms, and then you can go crazy with the other one.
Yeah. So
we'll discuss that as a group. We'll go to like LinkedIn or something.
Here we have the arms customization here. You may be wondering what the hell does arms means. It's like muscle mass, or what are we talking about? It's basically sleeves. Do you want shoulder pads? Do you not want shoulder pads? Do you want one shoulder, etc.?
Plate armor, stuff like that.
The thing is, I like this addition because in XCOM Enemy Within with our gene modded soldiers, I never loved the sleeveless design. It's like, we are gene modded, therefore we have to show off the guns. It was like,
yeah. And then with the DLC coming out, that list is just gonna get bigger.
Yeah,
bigger.
Exactly.
They're adding more parts.
So the same goes for legs. It basically modifies the design of the armor a little bit. Same goes for the torso. The armor design is a little different for each armor as you go. Obviously, there's going to be more options as we go with more armor. And like I said, that's a different arm option right there. So sleeveless with both arms, but one shoulder pad.
Yeah, and she's got like an arm, forearm thing, and
yeah, just
move your gun, please.
The bracer.
Yeah, the brace.
Now moving on to upper face props. We got stuff like monocles, hippie glasses, aviators. You got nose rings, earrings, that sort of
all
things.
the fun stuff, man.
Yep. I'm
getting excited.
Yeah, lower face props. You got stuff like cigarettes, cigar, and XCOM bandana, skull bandana, biker bandana, stripe bandana, which I found very interesting because the stripe bandana is actually Exalt's bandana. So that does signify that Exalt may have cropped up in the story somehow, but
probably got crushed. Or,
maybe Exalt.
Maybe we recruited Exalt.
No, that is an option. I saw a few people making their character bios like this was an X Assault, but they saw what was actually going on and decided to defect.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's very interesting.
I'm getting more and more impressed with this game as we're doing this discussion.
Yeah, the Exalt tattoos on their arms are available as well. And of course you gotta have all your patterns for your armor. You got your heart patterns, your happy face patterns, all sorts of stuff.
Man, and that list looks longer.
Look at this. So this is like,
God.
So in this case, the main color is purple, the secondary color is green, and on a heart-shaped pattern armor. That's great.
Yeah. As we can see, we didn't see pink, but look over there, we have that slider bar.
Yeah.
That means we can go up because we don't know what's above those these gray tones up here.
Yeah,
so
I'm not sure.
Maybe in there.
Pink's maybe in there.
I considering we're Kyle.
We gotta have
play the song, please.
No content ID.
In my head, it's
but we have the classic Guile hairstyle from the original XCOM. Gotta have it. But there's so many hairstyles. You got your afro, dreadlocks, the cornrows, spiky mohawk, etc. And moving on, we have, of course, the race presets. Set your race. I'm not sure which one's which, quite honestly. They don't actually label it. We just have numbers. Moving on from race, though, we do have skin color, so you can adjust it via that. That would be a lot easier to do. And this is the lower part of the list where you have stuff like the voices, which I mentioned before. Attitude. There are several attitude idols, which does affect your soldier. I think by default, everybody as a rookie starts by the book, but as you rank up, you can have other idols for your attitude, and you can select them.
Question.
Go ahead.
Just something I know. If any squad members are returning from the original, can they be changed right away, or is this actually locked until you get a rank or rank up?
That I'm not actually sure on.
Okay, so that's something you gotta investigate.
This is what I was about to mention, because it mentions soldier class here. So you can choose your rank in the character pool here, just so you can unlock the options and take a look. I'm not sure if, let's say you make a colonel in character pool and then you import him into the game and then you get him as a reward. I'm not sure if he comes as a colonel. That I'm not sure on.
Okay, that'd be something interesting to find out as we go through the game.
Yeah, as we can see here, however, though, we have check boxes that this can appear as a soldier, this can appear as a VIP, this can appear as a dark VIP. So you have many options here. Maybe you want to go crazy and have all three on, so you never know what you're gonna get.
Yep.
Life is like a box of chocolates here.
Good movie.
Yep. And moving on to the attitude.
The attitudes,
yeah. Moving on to the attitudes. There's a couple as of now. Don't know if they'll add more, but it's very interesting. You got by the book, of course. The rookies basically, or someone who always follows the rules. laid back. They're pretty chill about things. Normal is normal, but what's normal these days? Twitchy. The true XCOM operative is always twitchy. Let's keep that in mind. You
don't have to ignore that. Just pick what you want that makes happy. I am definitely going intense.
Well, and then we got the happy-go-lucky guys, the hard luck ones, and then the intense ones. And this affects idols as well. Now, let's look at the voice packs here. Keep in mind, these voice packs apply to both male and female. So we have 10 American English, 4 UK...
Male and female.
Yeah, 4 UK English, 2 Australian English, 10 French, 10 Italian, 10 German,
dude,
10 Spanish, for both male and female.
Apparently there's a glitch with number 8, but ignore that.
Oh no, it's just because it was moused over, that's all.
Oh, that's what happens when you mouse over?
Yeah.
Forget what I just said.
Yeah. Well, that is like extensive for voices right there.
From what, like 6 maybe up to...
I believe, yeah, it was like 6 to 8 or something like that, and that's crazy.
Yeah, especially for all these dialects.
Yeah, I know. We have the Scar customization list.
This is where the veterans is.
Yeah.
We don't know what ranks these unlocked.
I'm pretty sure they just unlock a few at a time with each rank, but there are a lot of scars. There's like face burns, slashes.
Like the veterans have seen some shit.
Oh yeah.
And they wear it proudly. I know I'm going to be wearing my scar proudly. And
I know.
Probably it's right behind me.
Scars actually do save from the character pool, so you can kind of bypass the rank thing a little bit. So it'll be interesting to have like a little biography. Like this character was hit by a Finman acid, and part of their face is now half burned, and something like that. And it's very interesting in that there are so many options available.
Dude, I have a customization boner right now. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. And moving on, there's a few other options left on the customization. We have our tattoos here. You got stuff like your Chrysalid Killer, Berserker Hunter, Snake Wrap, which I believe was a picture of a Viper.
That bottom one has Rich all over it.
Yeah. Sliced Sectoid, the XCOM sleeve, Electric Alien, Barcode, Death Sleeve, Earth Sleeve. I believe that's the Exalt tattoo right there. Ace in the Hole, Shadow Wolf, all that.
See, now seeing these, I'm like, for squad, all right, maybe we could all have barcodes because we're all like uniform and we're barcoded, we're squad, and then we can just go crazy with the other side.
Yeah.
It's just options.
Yeah.
Just think in my head for the squad.
And like I said, there's just so much customization. This could be just XCOM customization, enemy customization. Make it happen, Jake Sullivan.
Dude, yes, I would just play a game where you just customize shit.
And I mean, for some people, that is pretty much the game already, because you can send all these, you can import characters to other people, you can download stuff. I saw some really great customizations of like Wesley Snipes, Snake Plissken, and Arnold. Get Arnie in there. There was a Jackie Chan I saw. It was great.
Dude, this is gonna be this is like one of the most anticipated games.
It is.
That I've been waiting for. It's gonna be amazing.
I know, and even if it's slightly overhyped, the amount of stuff we're still getting out of this game is amazing on its own. And I mean, you guys know how excited I am about the game, and as many of you know, XCOM Enemy Within and Enemy Unknown were the first series I've done on my channel, and being able to include viewers in something like this level of customization, as well as my friends like Mike, Jason, and them, that is amazing. I don't even have words.
It's gonna bring us all together closer as a family.
That or like tear us apart.
But then bring us back together.
Yes. But, like we were saying earlier with our pitch, if you want to be a part of the XCOM squad as either a soldier, a staff, or a VIP, or even a dark VIP, you want to be my nemesis? Bring it on. We'll come and get you.
They'll send Bravo after you.
I may make other personalities. Like, I have a few people in mind that I would love to include in, like, staff members. I know Rick, for example, my cousin, he's very on the fence. Like, he wants to be part of the XCOM squad, but he's not so sure. So he's like, maybe I could be an engineer instead.
Always open to you, Rick. Come on. Like, geez, Rick, come on, man.
Yeah, so, I mean, once again, like, if you want to be a part of the squad, you now know the class skills and the abilities as well. I believe there's plenty of videos online of these with the amount of gameplay that's now available with the preview build. I wish I was part of the press release so that I could do this all in game for you, but that is not the case. Maybe next time. But regardless, if you want to be a part of the XCOM squads, let me know. Put it in the comments section.
Facebook.
Yeah, let me know in your preferred class, your colors, your biography.
I'll just send it to them, just whatever.
Yeah, you can either leave it in the comments. If you have me on Steam, you can send me in a private message there. You can send a message over to me on Facebook via my Facebook channel page. The link will always be in the description below. And you guys are like the main focus here, aside from me commentating and playing the game.
This is your chance to get involved in Lewis's work.
Yes.
Do not let that slide by.
Also keep in mind though, I will not intentionally try to get you killed unless
there is no guarantee you'll survive.
Well, I should not say that. Maybe I may need someone to ruin a Overwatch shot or something. Or maybe maybe make a mad dash for that loot over there, because I am a bit of a loot hoarder.
You are a hoarder. You're gonna be on A&E before you know it.
Yeah, still no promises though, but if you want to be a part of it, let me know. Anyway, so that's pretty much it for episode 3 of XCOM 2 Overwatch. Mike, thank you so much for joining in on this episode. It's great having you here.
It was really fun, and especially towards the end where you could probably tell I got really excited.
Customization was your favorite bit aside from getting the skill breakdown.
Yeah, it was definitely, dude. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me for this portion, and I look forward to seeing the series in full when this game finally comes out next month.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to you and your newly fleshed out Bravo squad.
We're gonna step up our game. We're gonna come close as a squad more, and we're gonna take it to the aliens. They're not gonna know what hit them.
Yeah, I was actually going to make a joke earlier, but I had almost forgotten. The Smack Talk has already started. Alpha Squad is pretty much almost all together. It's just 5 out of the 6 are still together, and they're already smack talking you guys.
You know what? We don't like to do free smack talk. It's beneath us. We wait till we get into the thick of it, and that's where the true colors and side of a person is really revealed.
That's just to give you guys a little taste of what's going on between the squads. I will not stoop to Alpha's level and insult them here in this video. Yeah, like the pranks of painting. I will be the mature one, and like the paint until the series starts. Then it's on. Then it's on. Like the paint wars, bastards. Your pink mech suit. Pink mech suit. Tiger's. It's gonna get real. It's gonna get real. Let's go, Bravo. Oh, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching episode 3 of XCOM 2 Overwatch. If you've been watching throughout this entire episode, much like the last one, I know it's been a long one, but these are discussion episodes. I would love to split them up, but at the same time, I don't feel like there's a need to, because it's all discussion. It's a slideshow, therefore it's not gameplay footage. I don't feel that it warrants it splits the video. So. You need all the information presented to you at once. Yes. To split that up. And making you cycle through different YouTube pages is not something. It's not convenient. No, it's not. So it's saving you time searching. Yeah, it's all in one place. All it just requires is a lot of your time, which is a lot to ask for anyway. But thank you guys so much for your time. Even if you just watch it a little bit at a time, YouTube saves your place. There you go. Anyway, so that's gonna be it for episode 3 of XCOM 2 Overwatch. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe for more. We hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we will see you guys in the next one. Join XCOM today. Sign up now. We want you. Bye, guys. Bye, guys.